Welcome to another episode of Behind the Host podcast. And today we're joined by Tia Castle. Tia is the host and founder of Castle Lux Properties based in Sarasota, Florida. If you don't know where that is, it's definitely worth a Google because it's a beautiful part of the world. Uh, she deals with luxury high-end homes there, professional management agency looking after real estate investors' investments. She's a presenter, she's an actress, she's an author with Hospitable Hosts. Um, she helps other new hosts getting started. And I'm really excited to have you on the show today, Tia. So thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Liam. I'm very excited to be here. And I do have one correction. It's Castle Lux Rentals. It used to be Castle Lux Properties, but now it's
Ah,
Castle Lux Rentals.
my
And
apologies.
you're right, it's in beautiful Sarasota.
Ah, it's beautiful there. I get to learn so many places around the world by doing this, and I always have a look. And there's places which, if people are listening to this as well, I'm sure just by one Google alone, they'll want to come and check out some of them awesome beaches and those
Mhm.
properties. So, first of all, Tia, I'd love to just have an introduction into yourself and your company and how you really got started hosting.
Okay, well, as you mentioned, Castle Lux Rentals is a luxury vacation rental management company. And I decided to get into the luxury realm about 3 years ago. I've been in the vacation rental business for about 6 years, and it was really out of necessity. I wasn't planning on, being in this business. But I was producing television show and I had to travel a lot. And I was in real estate, been in real estate forever, but I was doing a show called Home and Castle TV, and it was about luxury properties that were listed that were over $1 million. And so I was traveling back and forth, and my condo was sitting empty, and I had no money because I was pouring it all into my TV show. And so I thought, you know what about this, B&B thing? So I started doing it, and I was making some really good money. So that's how I got started.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Talk us a bit more through how you got into the TV presenting and what sparked the need for that program because that is amazing. And again, for anyone listening, just Google, sort of Tia Castle and the show. It is amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so it's my degree is in broadcast journalism. And I went the route of totally going away from, production and broadcasting. And I love to write and I love to present. And it's just something that I don't have to work hard at. It just comes to me. And I love stuff that's easy. So anyway, I decided I would marry my love for beautiful homes and real estate with my production capabilities and having worked on news as a broadcaster. I, married those two. And do you remember Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous?
I do, yeah, I do.
Well,
I don't know I don't know what that says about me, but I do remember that show.
I know, me too. But yeah. So anyway, it was a new version of that type of show, and I was actually going to have the who was it? Robin Leach, right? He was presenting that show, and I reached out to him and I asked him to watch the episodes, and he really liked it. And I was trying to get it, on mainstream TV. He was going to be the voice of my show, but unfortunately, he passed away several months after we were talking about how to promote it and sell it to the cable companies. So that was sad, but you never know when I might pick it back up. But so that's the history of why I got into it and what I was trying to do with it. And who knows, maybe there might be some vacation rental show coming out of me soon.
Amazing, amazing to hear. So you started doing the hosting off the back of this. What did you find was the main draw to the area for the properties that you were looking after? And did you start off with your own properties or did you start off managing others?
Yeah, I started off with my own two-bedroom, two-bath condo, and it wasn't anything special. It wasn't near the beach. It was just a place for people to, stay for a few days, but it did have a swimming pool in my area. When I started, there weren't that many rules. And but it was with a condo association, and here in America, the associations get really, really strict, and they will fine you. So it was kind of a gray area then. And then it turned out where they said, "Oh no, we're not letting you, rent less than 3 months at a time here." So I had to kind of like switch gears. And then that condo did so well, I rented a couple other condos that allowed, rentals that were monthly and weekly. And I did really well with them. So I got into the arbitrage model. And then I continued with the arbitrage model, and I was able to uh, get contracts with actually very large apartment complex. And it was, and then also a privately owned apartment complex. So I did have about 16 arbitrage apartments in downtown Sarasota. They weren't on the beach, but they were in, a highly visited area. And then went from there.
That's brilliant. And I mean, for anyone listening as well, for rental arbitrage or rent to rent is what we've got across here in the UK. It's such a powerful model, isn't it? Because you can soon scale up your business with, as long as you've got the demand in that particular area for the guests, then you can scale as quick as you like for that. And, taking control of other people's properties while still making a profit. They win, you win, your guest wins. So that's really
Right.
such a good model.
Yeah.
The guests who were coming to stay with you, were they a certain type of guest? What were they expecting from staying in the area? Was there a particular avatar that you tend to deal with?
Yeah, at that time, I would say my first 3 years of being in the business and having mostly rental arbitrage, it was about the stays were a little bit shorter. They were like 3 nights to 5 nights. And the expectation was they just wanted a clean place that was in the middle of everything. And that's the expectation that I set, because it was downtown and only 2 miles to the beach and in where all the action is. So my guest avatar was millennials who just wanted a clean place to stay that was walkable in the city. My avatar has since changed since I got into the luxury business. And I decided, well, COVID came along, first of all, and wiped out pretty much all my stays for like 2 months. So I was left holding the bag with about close to $20,000 that I owed per month, in rent, and nobody paying for stays. So that was like, it was a hard moment. And but luckily, 3 to 4 months after COVID hit, my leases were coming up, so I was able to get out of my leases. But word to the wise about having insurance for things like this. But who would have foreseen that, right?
Yeah,
So
you need a crystal ball to see that one.
I know. Yeah. So as you mentioned, that type of business is great to get into, because you don't have to come up with a down payment to, purchase a property. All you have to do is get into the lease and then buy your furniture and make it look great. So it is a good stepping stone for people, but there are, things that you have to, think about in case something like this happens and you get stuck with, having to pay those leases. But, and I once said in another interview, I'll never do that arbitrage again, but I'm kind of thinking about it and rethinking about it. And I haven't done it in the last 3 years. But now there are opportunities, and since COVID changed everything and people are traveling in a different way and they're staying a little bit longer, I might venture back into that.
It's such a good model to test out, sort of new avatars, new markets, and that sort of thing. Like you say, you can't predict with things like COVID. I mean, nobody can predict that. But talk us through the mindset of what happened then, because I think it's so important that hosts, getting behind the host and understanding the mindset that we do have to deal with unexpected things. What was your kind of reaction, and what advice would you have for other people who find themselves in a situation which they didn't expect to be in?
Mhm. Um, So first of all, my reaction was pure panic
Yeah, understandably.
because of the unknown, but in hindsight, and you know what, I really lucked out because, I said my leases were up within 3 to 4 months.
Mhm.
And uh, I had taken those leases and I decided that there's one building where there were 6 apartments. And so what I did was I took, instead of leasing all of them at once. So if you are going to be doing this model, it's a great way to do it, so that all of your leases are not up at the same time, and that you can stagger what you're doing, especially if you've got to fill those apartments with furniture and design, and it takes a long time to launch a property correctly. It doesn't happen in a day. So stagger those leases. So maybe you have 2 that you start the lease in July, 2 in August, 2 in September. That will really help you out when you're building your business. The other thing is, this is very important, which I didn't realize how important it was at the time, but I did have one large house that I was renting, and it alone, it was like $7,000 a month. And but in the contract, I had that this contract can be broken if there is any type of change in the policies or the rules or the ordinance of the city that say that they will no longer allow short-term rentals. And I also had in there that if there is an unforeseen event where that prevents us from being able to rent on a short-term basis, then we can immediately, get out of the contract. COVID was one of those unforeseeable events, and that just saved me. So, it's the way you put the contract together.
It seems like, I know you said you felt quite lucky by having that, but I always say that half of everything is luck and the other half is hard work. And it sounds that you've done your due diligence and the work beforehand with the contracts to make sure that
Mhm.
you kind of saved yourself in that situation. And also the adaptation to move from your existing model to now the luxury model.
Mhm.
That's such a skill set to be able to adapt and to be able to see those changes as well. So.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. So talking more then about your current business model, you've moved into kind of the luxury side of things now. How
Mhm.
has that changed the type of guests and the type of properties that you now look to take on?
Mhm. Yes, as you move to the larger luxury homes, my avatar is families with kids and multi-generational visits where, grandma and grandpa from Florida want to meet, their son and daughter with all their kids, and they all come together. And I usually house about 8 to 10, sometimes 12 people. So it's most of my rentals are 4 bedrooms and 3 baths. Um, and so, you know, uh, the the shift is that the type of people that I deal with now are looking for the experience as opposed to just a clean place to stay. It is the house itself is part of a destination instead of the geography. So you have to do things that are special about that house, provide special things. Like in one of the houses, we have a game room for the kids, and then we have a yoga area for the parents who can sit outside by the pool when the sun rises, and just to be able to get back their peace and away from the game room where the kids might be. And there's also, it's on a canal, so we provide an easy way to rent a boat from a marina close by. So there's a lot more planning for the families, and it is more about their experience at the house.
I love that how you've anticipated the guest needs. Certainly, as a father myself, having that separation, and peace at times when needed, and also having a place where the kids can be entertained. It just sounds to me as though you've really thought about what their needs are going to be before they come and stay. And another thing, after the pandemic, I imagine that there's more families now traveling intergenerationally to kind of, they've had some time apart. They've not seen people as much as they'd like over the last few years. They're now
Mhm.
coming and traveling together and getting some more quality time and building those experiences. So that's really cool. So your business at the moment is the tech stack behind your business. I'd love to obviously talk about the tech stack that you have behind the host, and has that changed from what it was with your rental arbitrage business to what it is now with the property management? And what kind of tech do you use?
Yeah. Yeah. I've tried everything basically because, my business has moved in so many different ways and it's shifted from, different avatars. So I'm definitely want to give you an idea of how different things work. When I had my arbitrage and I was up to like 15 properties, I was using a much bigger program. And I was using Guesty actually. And because they had the component where they would be able to communicate with the guests as a live person, not just automated messages. And I had check-ins and check-outs every single day. There's no way I could keep up with that. And I didn't have a large staff. So I relied heavily on that property management company. However, they do take a percentage. And now that I've scaled back, although I have less properties, I have bigger ones. So, but it's much easier for me to funnel in exactly what I need since it's less properties, and really focusing more intimately with the people who stay. So I've changed. I believe I've used about or tried about 4 or 5 different property management systems. Right now, what works for me is Hostfully. And I like it because, I don't waste money anywhere. And it's a flat fee. And there is the guest communication and automation is great. But since I don't have so many properties, I like to jump in there and give my guests a human touch. And I like the calendar. And then, so that is my PMS system. I like to use, I have used Price Labs off and on as far as pricing. However, I like to get in there and I don't like things, totally set it and forget it and automate it. I like to leverage them, but I don't like them to totally, take over my accounts. So I don't set it and forget it. You still have to look at what's going on, in your marketplace. And so I do a combination of that. Sometimes it's funny how like I use both VRBO and I use Airbnb, and then I do direct bookings as well.
Mhm.
So it's interesting how VRBO likes to say, hey, you need to hike your prices. And then Airbnb is like, oh, hey, you need to lower your prices.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, wait a minute. So
Conflicting advice from both channels.
Right. So I like to try the higher one first, and it's interesting how VRBO will give you an idea of what they think it should be. And sometimes I'll just cut off, the automation and just play with it a little bit, play with the pricing a little bit and see what I can get. So I use a combination. And then what other tech do I use? I used to use a maid service organization, but what I do now is I'm able to use Hostfully to alert, when cleaning needs to be done. And I let my any staff, whether it's, my cleaning staff or maintenance people, they have the ability to, get into the account just to see the calendar and what needs to be done. And so pretty much everything I need is done with that right now.
That makes sense with having a PMS, which can do so much of what you need it to take the hassle out of the day to day, that you can
Mhm.
still have that personal touch and dive into with Hostfully's, unified inbox and that side of things.
Mhm.
But also to be able to give your cleaners access, again, depending on different PMSs,
Mhm.
will allow different abilities and different sort of aspects of that. So it's cool that Hostfully then covers everything you need. With
Mhm.
When you moved from guesty to, you mentioned you went to a few. How
Mhm.
easy is it to move? And I know this will be something that people listening will go, "Well, I'm with this one," but actually, it sounds like Tia's managed to move fairly easily. Um, yeah, how easy was it to move? And did you find that there was a case of any channel manager or any PMS has got everything you want in one box, or is it a case of you could pick bits from all of them if you had the chance?
Yeah, you're never going to find everything in one box that perfectly suits you. So you have to like make a list of like your top three wishes that you absolutely have to have, and then find a PMS that will work for that are your most important needs. And then, take the rest with a grain of salt. Um, and I will warn you, it's difficult to move from PMS to PMS. I have done it about once every year to year and a half. And so I've learned how to move from PMS to PMS. So what you need to make sure that you do is you have to download every bit of information, because the most common mistake if you're moving is you will possibly not have the transition of bringing over what's on your current calendar and doing that correctly. And so if there's any type of payment system that has gone through the PMS and not direct to your account, and they're all different, you have to rearrange all that. So it's not easy. I just kept trying to look for that perfect, situation, and it doesn't really exist. The PMS is out there really, do the best they can, and they can't be 100% for 100% of all hosts out there. I mean, just everyone has their different challenges and their different needs. So you just have to pick one that really suits your particular needs and kind of get clear on really what it is that is most important to you, or what your challenges are. And usually the number one important thing is getting your calendar right, because you do not want to double book.
No, 100%. And that, I love what you've said there, because each time people say, "Well, what is the perfect PMS? Which is the one to go for?" All the time, don't they? They're always asking that kind of question. And a bit like our guests, I suppose, that each one of our businesses is unique. Our needs are different. Our type of guests we serve are different. In the same way that for PMSs, their type of perfect host, as in us, would be different. So,
Right.
yeah, what you said there about listing the top three is really good and great advice for people listening. So, you mentioned on there about book and direct is an important part, and if I didn't pick up on that as part of Boostly, obviously that is what Boostly is about in general.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get guests to book direct within your business model? You mentioned you're on Airbnb and VRBO. Yeah, what is the importance of your direct bookings?
Yeah. So a lot of the direct bookings will come from our guests who have already stayed and they want to come back a second year or third year. The other one is that the guests that have stayed refer it to their friends. So and then we have a gigantic real estate company called Zillow that you can advertise your rentals on, that doesn't cost anything, and you can get referrals from there. Since I am in a town that has a lot of vacation rentals and a lot of tourism, that works really, really well. And it's I think it was Airbnb that said, "Hey, we don't have enough houses for all the people who want to go and stay on vacations. We're like down, like, what is it, a million?" Do you remember what I'm talking about? There was an
Yeah,
article they put out
there
recently.
was not enough directly after the pandemic, was there? There was too much demand and not enough supply.
Right. And I totally see that. Um, so I think it's becoming a little bit easier if you just reach out to a few different channels than relying on, the go-tos, the normal go-tos. And you will have people, and I've had people that have just inquired because they've seen it off, my website. And so I really need to pay more attention to, how my website is doing. And I don't have as much intake as I would like to. And I need to work on getting that, that technical part of it more automated. So actually, Boostly
That's
is
where
something
Boostly can
that I'm
help.
looking into. Yeah.
Definitely. It is worth having a call about that in itself, because just having that smooth process. One of the things which Boostly does is has that smooth process. So when somebody lands on your website, they know the type of feel they'll have. We talked about the experience. They can kind of feel that when they first land on there, and then it's sticky, it's memorable, and people can easily book where it uses an API connection through to your channel manager, through to your PMS. And especially with, Hostfully is partnered with Boostly in particular, so it'd be nice and easy for yourself.
And that's something new, right? That was just announced.
It was. I mean, it has over the years. I mean, Boostly has worked with, and is, as far as we're aware, the only website development who partners with so many different PMSs. And the importance of that is that it's then seamless. When people can book on your website, they can seamlessly book without having to go to often the way people do it is they'll book and that'll have to go to the back end of the software. So it'll move from, what is the front page to the PMS's page at the back of it. So this is where Boostly really wants to keep everybody on your webpage, where you can then track where they're clicking. You can have your blogs, you can have your, and this is one of the things that, I noticed with Castle Lux Rentals. You've got such a big presence with, first of all, targeting other investors and people looking to invest for the type of properties that you can manage. And all the videos which are in there, you can track where people are able to, are clicking on and where they're clicking, which is so important. So it's data-led decisions using your own website, which is why I like to talk about that, direct booking side of things. And of course, the commission you can save from those repeat bookings is just massive as well. So
yes. Yeah.
Well,
and when I do right now, as I'm doing it, direct booking for my website, I have to handle everything. Instead of, having it connected to, my calendar. So it takes a lot of time. So I would like to be able to save time.
Definitely. And that's where Boostly comes in, really. So one of the other things that I'd love to dig into, because we're in a project together called Hospitable Hosts. Yeah, I'm so excited about this. So for those listening, if you don't already know, there is a book coming out called Hospitable Hosts. It was created by Jodie Sterling. And the concept is it's taken 40 hosts from all across the globe and putting them together, sharing their experiences, their advice, all into one place in this awesome book where everybody's got a chapter each. So talk to me how you got involved in the Hospitable Hosts project and what it is to you to be a hospitable host.
Yes, well, I believe in continuous education, and I was in this group called Legends X, and it was a 3-month deep dive into how to grow your business and possibly sell it in the future. And that's what I'm interested in is really understanding how to grow the business that I have and know other people's stories about how they actually sold their business and what it took and what buyers are looking for. So when you're looking into mergers and acquisitions and all that type of stuff, that's something that I really wanted to learn about. So when you take these education courses, you meet people from all around the world, which is what happened to me. And through this group, I was introduced to the book. So the networking is just incredible when you get into your Facebook groups, your education groups. So that's how I got introduced to this. So I wish I could go to London for the launch at the Shorties.
The book launch.
But the book launch, I'm not going to be able to make it, but there's going to be a launch here in the United States. So
well, I wish I could come across there. I'll see you at the bar if that was the case.
I'll have some cider for you.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we were just talking about that. And I'll get to try the wine as well.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's an incredible project, and like you say, that the lesson to take from this is when you start putting yourself out there, and you meet all these people across the world. There's the old slogan, which is your network is your net worth, and that's
Yep.
so important here, isn't
So
it?
true. So true. Absolutely. And, it just broadens your understanding of, what this business is about. And, you tend to, because we're pretty much all youpreneurs, right? Have you heard that term? And we're kind of like in a silo unto ourselves. It can get lonely. So, I mean, it's just the excitement of, being able to do this project with all these people. And I didn't really have to lift a finger. Jody took care of everything. I mean, how easy is that? All you had to do was, write about yourself and what you're doing, and provide some things that you think might be inspiring. How easy is that? And it was fun, and it was cathartic, and I can't wait till it comes out.
I can't wait. I can't wait to read everyone's chapters, yours
I
included.
know. I
Just
know. I think we're all telling secrets. Did you tell any secrets?
um, yeah, I mean, I've told things that I've never told anyone else, so yeah,
Oh, really?
definitely.
Oh,
Just exciting to hear, and the diversity within the book, from people telling stories of saving lives to people telling funny guest stories, to how to get started. There's information in there which people
mhm.
listening are going to find really
Yeah.
valuable. And of course, that's out on May the 16th 2022, and will be available on Amazon. So that is really awesome. And I hear now that you're now coaching others to get started as well, so talk us through your
Yeah.
coaching.
I am, I didn't set out to have a coaching program, but I've been asked by quite a few people. And so I've put together some courses that they can access. And I also have the ability for someone to just, put on my calendar through my website, hey, I want a half-hour session, or I want an hour session. And I find that since individuals have so many different needs, that really seems to work really well, because we can, talk about their specific challenges and what's holding them up. And, if they're at the very beginner and they're trying to decide, okay, what model should I go after? I can help them figure out, what will work for them. To anyone who's looking to scale their business and or work with bigger investors that I'm doing, since I have my real estate license. I am able to help investors get into a vacation rental property that will actually make money. You have to really be careful, especially nowadays with the price of real estate, what you're getting into. So anything from the very beginner all the way to the very advanced, I've kind of gone every single route in the last 7 years, with every different way of doing it. So many different PMSs, so many different, like my tech stack is, changed in many, many different ways. So so I find that I have a lot of things that I can share, and I'm happy to do that.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And just like you say, all that experience just rolled into one sort of place is fantastic, especially with the real estate side of things. Similar here, I've got into sort of real estate property in the UK. That's how I got started in
Oh,
Airbnb myself. So it's one of those things where linking up with some of those networks and some of those Facebook groups is so important as well, to really understand the market, isn't it? So
mhm.
yeah, that's brilliant. So what I'd like to do is towards the end, we always fire a couple of quick fire questions, and on behind the sort of host. So this is answers can be as short or as long as you like, but
Okay.
they're more fun, not necessarily hospitality related. But who is the most famous person that you've either hosted or met? I had to ask because of the TV connection.
Okay. Yeah, well, I used to live in Hollywood.
Nice.
So, so did you pick that question just for me because you knew I lived in Hollywood?
I didn't
Um,
know you used to live in Hollywood, but yeah, this
oh,
sounds perfect. I could lie and say yes, I did, but no, I didn't.
yeah. So, well, let's see. I would have to say one of the most, I've met a lot of stars. I would have to say one really memorable star that I sat next to and had a drink with on Hollywood and Vine was Stevie Wonder.
No way.
Yeah.
That's amazing. He's like My other half absolutely loves Stevie Wonder, so she would be, she'd be like, "Wow, that's brilliant."
And he actually, so where I lived was connected to a big W hotel on Hollywood and Vine. That's like downtown Hollywood, and they had these great jazz nights, and so you would never know what star might come in. And he came in with his entourage. There was just a regular Sunday night jazz group playing. He walked up on stage, took over the keyboard and started singing.
That's a legend there.
Amazing. Yeah.
That's a legend. So I think that's the top person I've ever asked that question. I ask everyone that before doing the Behind the Host podcast. I always like to check people. But yeah, that's amazing and probably the biggest name I've been given. So what's your favorite podcast? What do you listen to?
Oh my goodness. I listen to a ton of podcasts and also YouTube. I haven't told you that I'm very much into Web3 and cryptocurrency. And I am looking at different applications in both real estate and for vacation rentals. So nowadays I am listening to, a non-fungible token information. I can't remember all the names of them, but that's what I'm listening to.
Amazing. I would love you to message me those ones because I love listening to that sort of stuff because it's such an exciting space. Sure. And there's people like Luca who are involved in, even we got asked with Boostly, can we pay for a website with crypto? We're actually starting to get asked for that side of things. So it's such a big area.
It's going to be our world in several years, and it's coming on faster than most people think. Yeah, I just got certified as a crypto agent through a company called Property, and so I do know how to work with NFTs and property.
Amazing. So, what would be the one thing that you take with you to a desert island, if there was just one thing?
You mean besides food?
Yeah, besides food, water, and the essentials.
My cell phone?
Cell phone, yeah. A call for help is the other one we tend to get, but...
Okay. So does that count? So you're saying if I couldn't use my cell phone?
Anything you like. So we have all sorts of answers. Some people assume they've got their cell phone, but all sorts of answers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would be my cell phone. Yeah, I can't live without it.
That's cool. So I feel like we've digested quite a lot of, sort of different areas of the business. And it's been really, really fun and really interesting to find out about yourself and the business here. If people who are listening wanted to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do so?
Yeah, so my personal website, which is tiacastle.com, and you can schedule time with me right on that website. And then it also has links to everything else I have. So that's the best place to start. Amazing.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for today, Tia. It's been really interesting. I can't wait to read your chapter of the book. And yeah, definitely send me those recommendations and let's have a chat about Boostly website.
Definitely. Thank you, Liam. I enjoyed myself as well.
Thank you. Speak to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Having a blast, gonna get it on the Boostly podcast. Boostly like Bruce Lee, cause it's so hard and the T is loose leaf. Making up those rhymes, don't write it, just do it loosely.